All right, welcome back. Now I'm using Bing. I'm using Bing right now just to see, just to test it out. And I'm going to deal with the fights from last night. I'm going to also deal with a lot of other things that's going on in WMMA. First, as you see with the thumbnail, I thought that the highlight of last night was Miranda Maverick taking to social media and saying that she's going to count last night's fight as a loss. Now, I was frustrated. She said this was one of her worst performances. Miranda Maverick said that. And that's why I like Maverick. I like the way she thinks. Because I'm the same way. I think the same way that she thinks regarding last night's fight. I was getting frustrated with her. With Miranda Maverick, seems like early in the first round, she shows flashes of brilliance. In like the first 2-3 minutes, she looks like she could easily compete with Valentina Shevchenko at times. And then it just goes away. She looks very brilliant early in the fight, in the first round. And then she sort of fades into something else. And it's like, wow, what's going on? Okay, she went in for a takedown. I thought Maverick looked good early in the first round again. But then she started going for takedowns, and it really wasn't happening. For me, I'm like, okay, let the takedown come to you. Like she did in the second round. Do you see how different it was in the second round when she struck with Horth and picked the right spot? It was the perfect opportunity. It took minimal energy from her. Okay, it was the first takedown, clean takedown from Miranda Maverick. And she got it because she was patient. She agreed to strike with Horth. And the opportunity came to her. That's the best way to do it. If you see your opponent, you got him up against the fence, don't waste too much time. Don't expend too much energy trying to get him down when it's clearly not happening. And Jamie Lynn Horth, dude, that chick is too big. And she needs to go up to 135. That was ridiculous. Now I know, see, Miranda Maverick is shorter than a lot of people think. She's 5'3". Miranda Maverick is listed as 5'3", but Horth looks too big for this division. And I'm not trying to cut on Horth, but she looked kind of big and clumsy in there. I thought Maverick was a much better striker, even though she was at a disadvantage, a reach disadvantage. She moved better than Horth and seemed like a smarter striker, a much smarter striker. So I'm like, okay, early in the first round, I thought to myself, why not just outstrike her? Just outstrike this big chick. Because there was moments when she was on the ground and Horth had the advantage. She was on top of her. Took her back at one moment. Horth was, I thought, more competitive. A little more competitive, in at least in moments, on the ground than she was standing up. Standing up, Horth was kind of getting touched. And it was hard for her to catch Miranda. that bouncing movement style that Maverick uses seemed to have Horth kind of confused. Like she could not get off. But Maverick was finding opportunities. She was catching her from time to time. I'm like, okay, let's see if Miranda has it in her to just outstrike her, because I feel like some opponents you just need to outstrike. You don't need to try to wrestle everybody. You really don't. Especially if they're kind of competitive and kind of big. Now, when the first round ended, Miranda had her up against the cage. She was going for a takedown. And they were up against the cage forever. And she couldn't really get a takedown. But it seemed like Miranda felt her power and felt like, okay, she's not that strong. She's not that good. I'm going to try to muscle her again. I'm going to try to out-wrestle her this fight. And I was just thinking to myself, why such the obsession with trying to out-wrestle her? You're easily outstriking her. I thought she was easily outstriking her. And it sort of made it harder for herself. Like, it seemed like she kind of made it harder for herself trying to wrestle her. Like, I'm thinking you would have had an easier night have you just outstruck her. Horth looks in that fight, it was so bad to me. Horth looked clumsier than she looked against other opponents. She looked clumsier against Maverick. And I credited that to Maverick's movement. But it's like Maverick don't really believe in her striking at times. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Sometimes it's a better idea to take your opponent down. I don't think it's a good idea to try to out-wrestle every single opponent. That's just me. That's just me. And when the ref raised her hand, you could kind of see it in her face. You know, she's not that ecstatic. Okay? And I can respect that. You could tell that she's thinking, I could have done a lot better. Could have done a lot better. Now remember also, she's, if I'm not mistaken, still young, right? How old is Miranda Maverick? Let me look up her age. Because I'm making more of a point to get behind the younger fighters, man. The ones who got time to improve. A lot of times, I will look at real old film of fighters. Do that if you can. Try to get some of their old fights before they came into the UFC. A lot of fighters have made a whole lot of improvements, even with Miranda Maverick. You know, she's 27, but you go look at her Invicta fights. Her first professional MMA bout is also on YouTube, Miranda Maverick. Go look at how different she fought back then. It's like two different fighters. It's like two different fighters. And I'm telling you, do that with all the fighters you can. You're going to see most of them make drastic improvements. Have made drastic improvements in a short period of time. So, in my opinion, if you're still young, you can still make significant improvements as a mixed martial artist. Now, I don't know what's going on with Horth, but she is huge. She seems bigger than what she's listed as. And she seems like she cuts a lot of weight and that she's naturally bigger. I don't know if she's had kids, but it looks like she's got some loose skin going on. She looks huge. Look too big for that division. But no swipe at her. She lost the fight. Miranda said that she's going to take it as a loss. Good for her. I saw some objections to Miranda just for future references. Girl, don't let the flag touch the ground, Miranda. You see how those Brazilian girls carry it on their shirt? Not just them. Remember, Joanna? Remember all of them. Don't let the flag touch the ground, Miranda. She was literally dragging it. Okay. Now, Jennifer Maia is the bantamweight, Invicta bantamweight champ. No, let's go to Pereira. Now, I was not rooting for Pereira. I was rooting for her opponent. Because Pereira was on a 2-fight losing streak. And her opponent was undefeated. But I knew her opponent was going to get the business. You know, I knew this was going to be the fight where, say goodbye to that undefeated streak. I saw this as soon as I watched Josefine fight. And that's why she was smiling like this. You can see it all in her face. She's smiling because she knew, she's thinking to herself, I'm going to tackle you over and over. You think your striking is going to work, right? She's smiling because she knows that Josephine's plan is to outstrike her. And she has that look on her face like, I'm not coming to throw hands. I'm not coming to throw hands. We don't use hands. She's coming to throw her body. I mean, she was tackling her like a football player tackling a quarterback. She was diving and getting them takedowns. Josephine, this has always been my critique. She no leg movement. No leg movement. No foot movement. She's a stationary kickboxer. A lot of those kickboxers, they dismiss foot movement. And they just think if they're a good kickboxer, they can transition to MMA. But no, some of those kickboxers are like plotters. You can get away with it, but you got to have a real good takedown defense, like Alex Pereira. He don't move that much, but he's like a tree when you try to take him down. Josephine's takedown defense is not like that. No, she gets taken down. So if you got poor takedown defense, and all you got is good striking, it's a wrap. Marina Rodriguez. So, yeah, the perfect opponent. The perfect comeback opponent for Pierre Rodriguez. She was on a 2-fight losing streak. Yes, give me an undefeated fighter with no leg movement that I can just tackle all night. And that's what she did. She tackled her, unable to finish her, and Josephine had nothing on the ground. We lost another, I think she was the last undefeated fighter left, if I'm not mistaken. But because Pierre won, if she's matched up against a fighter who's on a losing streak, I'll be rooting for Pierre to win. Just to remind people how my system works as far as who I would like to see win the fight. I'm going to support whoever is winning, whoever is on the better win streak. Now, how many other fighters have been a 2-division Invicta champion? Did Maia break a record, or am I tripping? Did she break a record with that? Isn't that like, I don't remember any other fighter doing that. Maia was the flyweight Invicta champion also. Now she's the bantamweight Invicta champion. She might get brought back to UFC. I wouldn't be surprised. And you looking at the flyweight division in the UFC, I don't see why she's gone. The fighters there are not that much better than Jennifer Maia. She could still beat some of the top 10, top 15 fighters, if you ask me. So, I don't know. Kind of strange move from the UFC. UFC moved different. Yeah. Oh, snap. Okay. Miranda said the strikes to the back of the head messed up her ability to perform. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, she's honest. That's what I like to hear. And I don't like to see fighters just throw a party. And imagine if she did 2-3 backflips over that performance. You know, the reaction to the performance matched the performance. Like I've said, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you win and how you lose. She did not like the way she won. So the way she reacted to it was in line with my ideology. Maybe I'm biased. Yeah, I am being biased in this situation. Okay, she thought the exact same way I suggested that you think. Look at how you win. Look at how you lose. Now PFL, we got to deal with PFL because I don't think I really understand what they're doing, but they might be on to something. There's a PFL Europe. There is a PFL Europe. And I've been keeping my eye on this flyweight. She's also undefeated. And I didn't want to say nothing before the fight because she could have went in there and got sparked. But she won by first round TKO. And I haven't even watched this fight yet. I was unable to watch it. Don't know how many of y'all have looked into this female. But you see that? This is her record. She's 26. She's the same age as Dakota. She's a flyweight in the PFL. But this is PFL Europe. And she just won the 2024 PFL Europe Women's Flyweight Tournament. Can PFL Europe fighters fight Dakota? If so, then the PFL is on to something. Right? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's a PFL, a whole bunch of PFLs. PFL this, PFL that. Isn't that right? PFL Africa, PFL MENA, PFL Europe. So it looks like they're building up fighters. They could be possibly building up fighters for Dakota. And this is why I say that there's a good chance. It's possible that Dakota is in the PFL for a while. She might be there to straight up help build the division. And it might be a little easier to build the women's division over there in the PFL. But yeah, this girl, what's her name? Paulina Wisniewski something. Cannot pronounce her last name. But she's undefeated. She is now 5-0. She's a flyweight, won the tournament. They're building her up basically from scratch, just like they did with Dakota. And that was her third PFL fight. So I'm keeping an eye on the PFL. I'm watching y'all, because they might be on to something. Now, there's a bunch of other things that I wanted to deal with. Tracy Cortez came out and said that, well, Miranda said she don't care about fighting Tracy Cortez anymore. And Tracy Cortez, she accused her of pulling out of the second scheduled fight. Tracy Cortez of pulling out. Then a few days later, hopping on social media saying that she's ready to fight. So I like that little dust up. And Manon Fiore recently came out and again going after Valentina. And what did she say? She said, you can't hide anymore. Something like that, right? Paraphrase, you can't hide anymore, so sign this contract. I love what's Manon's go after her. She's not showing Valentina no respect. Do that. Go after her. WMMA needs that, right? Because that will sort of help make up for, the fact that they're women. Have more dust ups. It's all in sport. You can maintain it. They still maintain good sportsmanship talking like this. Stop hiding. You're trying to duck me. I see you stalling. You scared. Sign a contract. That's obviously what's going on, right? You can hear now. Manon's going to do an interview. She's going to say, well, they sent her a contract a long time ago. She took forever to sign it. She's still not signed it. I know the UFC made you the offer. It don't take this long to sign no contract. What are you waiting for? What are you stalling for? Hey, say that. If that's what you feel. I see people trying to say, oh, shut up, Manon. No, don't tell her to shut up. For what? How fun is that? If she just sit there quiet. No, say that. If that's what you feel. Now, Shevchenko didn't respond. She didn't respond to Manon this time. But if Manon keep poking at her, this might be a genuine. I think the hostility already is going to be a little genuine. Because Manon is not about to be nice to her throughout this whole buildup. Now, this poor girl right here, every time I see Estela Nunes, I feel sorry for her. She cannot recover from breaking her arm like that in my mind. And going forward, man, I'm worried about this girl. Is her punch, her power was never all that anyways. But has it been permanently damaged? How is this going to affect her? And just, Lord, that's a horrible injury. Especially for a fighter, who was more like a mid-tier fighter anyways. To suffer an injury like that, that's horrible. Hopefully she's recovered, made a full recovery. Right? Poor girl. They have made Lemos versus Luciendo. Look, man, why? Why are they trying to give Luciendo extreme? No, I can't say that. Because they gave her Cole Cavich, which I thought was a very easy style matchup, good style matchup. Okay, match her up against Lemos, but that's a stiff test. That's a stiff test. And doesn't it seem weird? Doesn't it seem like a grown woman against a child? I don't know. But look, in the cage, I think Luciendo is going to look bigger than a lot of us expect her to look. But I don't know. There's something about this. It seems like they should have found somebody else. But hey, expect the unexpected. I'm not too mad at it. And I'm not going to take no fighter. I'm not going to make no pick right now. But wow, that's a serious jump too, if I'm not mistaken. And they decided to reward her win streak, Luciendo's win streak, as well as Maverick's. She's now on a pretty good win streak, and she might get ranked. I don't know why they don't do that anyways. If you get a fighter to get matched up against a ranked fighter, the ranked fighters keep pulling out. If I'm not mistaken, that's the second ranked fighter pulled out of a fight, Miranda Maverick. You keep getting matched up against unranked fighters. Eventually, you're doing better than who's ever at number 15. And she's clearly now currently doing better than Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill's right now is at is number 15. So I don't know. The ranking system has never worked properly. It's never worked properly. Right? Casey O'Neill is still coming off a loss. She's not even on a win streak. They need to stay on top of that. Right? Casey O'Neill won her most recent fight against Luana Santos. Before that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak. 2-fight losing streak. Her longest win streak, Casey O'Neill's longest win streak, was 4 fights. So no. Right? Maverick is what? Let me see here. Because this is why people don't respect the ranking system. She's on a 4-fight win streak. 4-fight win streak. So yeah, she should at least be able to bump, maybe even more. Wait a minute. Let's do this. Be quiet. Let's do this. Because if I'm not mistaken, number 14 fighter, they're not doing too well either. Get out of here. Yeah. All right. Nah. Yeah. But think about that. She was about to fight Tracy Cortez. Ranked at number 11. Yeah, UFC needs to do something about that. You might end up getting matched up against a more difficult fighter who's unranked. Now, I know that's just how the fights go, but man, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. They need to do something about that. MMA, boy, they got a lot of room to evolve, if you ask me. But yeah, where is... Lemos is number 5. Sindo's number 7. Okay, Lemos, Andrade. Oh, okay, man. Hey, this ain't no easy fight for Lemos. I know a lot of people gonna right away say, oh, they're gonna pick Lemos. Experience. Fought for a title, fought Wei Lee. But I don't know what's going to happen. I'm telling you. It's hard for me to predict Luciendo fights. It's hard for me to predict. She's got a funny style that you just can't tell if it'll work on all her opponents. At least not for me. So yeah, a lot has been going on. Invicta just had a card. Right? All I'm wondering is there any standout talent? Any standout talent at all? That's the only thing I'm looking out for. I was watching the card earlier. Raggedy punches. Listen, man, some of these fighters on the lower, like regional, they just need more improvement. I can't even watch some of these fights. You gotta be polished to some extent. And it's too bad because, again, they don't have an amateur. Well, they got an amateur system, but it's different. It's different. MMA it's such a difficult sport, and you got such a small window of opportunity. Your career period is extremely small. Us 9-to-5 workers, we could find ourselves working from age 18 to 65. generally their career lasts what, 20 years, right? Say they go pro at 20. That's not far-fetched at all. You go pro at age 20, retire by age 40. That's about right. And so it's hard to predict how much they're going to grow in such a short period of time. And it's really individualized. You know, some will be able to make improvements. Some won't be able to. Doesn't it seem like Andrade's been fighting the same way forever? Some will not be able to make improvements. Some will. Look at Cyborg. She don't fight today nothing like she used to fight back in the day. So, yeah, weird sport. It's a weird sport. And a lot of people are talking about Dakota as if her only real competition is going to be in the UFC. I don't know. I don't know about that. She got there's a lot of fighters she could fight available to her. And like I said, I think Velasquez be a difficult fight for her. It could be. I can't say it would be. It could be. Nobody's ever bested Velasquez as a striker in the striking department. That's significant. That's what it is. It's significant. But the thing is, would the PFL want to risk Dakota losing to Velasquez? No. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a real good chance Dakota ends up losing a lot of, people are going to they're not going to look highly at her career. She's constantly fighting fighters who shouldn't be fighting her. She's supposed to go up. She on record saying it. And this girl, another problem with her, she got her arms are too short. Her arms are shorter than normal. Look at that. Little bitty arms, man. They're unusually short. Unusually short, man. My elbow come down to my navel. It's like right there parallel. Look, her elbow come up to the top of her rib cage. It's right there by her armpit, basically. So, she is primarily a boxer. It's a horrible style. It works in kickboxing. You can outbox a lot of kickboxers. Just, keep clobbering them with your fists. Yeah, you got fast fists that can work in kick. And you can be a plotter. Plot around, banging them out with your fists. Not in MMA. That style ain't going to work in MMA. In fact, you're going to be fooled. You're going to run into somebody like Rodriguez who's going to look at the cage like a football field. Especially with them little short, little bitty arms. I mean, look at the length compared to Rodriguez. Even look like her arms much longer than this girl's. That almost looked cartoonish. Now, I don't know how old she is. Is she young? Because she's another fighter that's going to have to make a lot of improvements. She's at least young in the sport. I think that was like her 7th fight or something like that. Right? 6th, 7th fight. She 8-0. She was 8-0. That was her 9th fight. 28. Look at that, man. her arm's too short. That's not funny either. Because as I'm watching the fight, I'm seeing a lot of her shots come up short. And I'm like, man, if she had longer arms, she'd land some of those shots. I'm looking like that, man. Her arms unusually short. Yeah, that's what it is. So I can't say that, I can't hope that she makes improvements on that. Can't grow longer arms. She just got to find a way to work through that. All right? She got to work past that. And what can you do? How can you can't counter that unless you turn into a wrestler like Carla. You think she gonna stop boxing and primarily use kicks? I don't think so. So we'll see where that goes. And I don't like Bing already. I got a bunch of freezing up. The computer's freezing up. So I'm about to end this live stream. I don't like working with dysfunctional software. And I will see y'all on the next.